different newcomers made their Division I debuts over the weekend, including 4 freshmen. The Red Hawks host Harris Stowe tomorrow at 1 o'clock. The SEMO softball team is 7-3 after going 3-2 over the weekend at the play 5 games at the Arkansas Razorback Invitational starting Thursday. On the ice, the Blues have tied a franchise record with their 10th straight victory in Minnesota. It's also the 3rd straight shutout for the Note, who got goal number 26 of the season from Vladimir Tarasenko, who's now scored in a career-best 12 straight games. He has 15 goals in his last 19 games.
And the SEMO ESPN app.
On the action with over 850 of the hottest slot games and a 4-table poker room. Check out our newly revamped menus at our award-winning restaurants. Plus, enjoy free live entertainment every weekend at the Lone Wolf. It's all at Isle Casino, Cape Girardeau. Must be 21. Any and all terms, conditions, rewards, and/or benefits published or received are subject to change or revocation without notice. Eligibility rules and exceptions apply. Refer to official promotional rules. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-PETS.
You need to land the career you've always wanted. The Guard will pay up to 100% of your tuition for up to 39 credit hours per academic year at 90 colleges and tech schools across the state. You're eligible as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving part-time in the Missouri Army National Guard. Visit NationalGuard.com today. Sponsored by the Missouri Army National Guard. Aired by the Missouri Broadcasters Association and this station.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
A dry day to start the work week today with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Cold, though, only going up to the upper 30s. We do have the clouds filling in tonight, overnight low 27. For our Tuesday, cloudy skies. Best shot at rain will be on Tuesday. Rain develops later in the day. Rain can be heavy at times. Get up to around 40. More rain Tuesday night. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jeff Ena.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Golick for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
This is a proud presentation of Mississippi River Radio Sports, the sports authority. Live in the studio. It's time for the Red Hawks Coaches Show. Live from Wings, etc. Hear the Coaches Show each week on SEMO ESPN 1220 and 1470. And also at SEMOESPN.com and the SEMO ESPN app. Also watch the Red Hawks Coaches Show webcast live at SEMOESPN.com. Now, let's go live to Wings, etc. for the Red Hawks Coaches Show.
Welcome in. It's another edition of the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We are at Wings Etc. in Jackson today. So if you've not made plans for lunch, even if you have, maybe you can change them. You're invited to join us here in the Jackson location of Wings Etc. And if you've never been to the Jackson locale, you walk in the front door and take a right, and you'll find us back in the spacious banquet room. We've got Red Hawk basketball highlights on the flat screens back here. A nice crowd has gathered to join us for lunch. We'll be talking Red Hawks basketball with Coach Rick Ray. The Red Hawks baseball coach, Andy Sawyers, is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. Good weekend for Red Hawks baseball. Just the fact that they got their 3 games in with the entire field covered with snow and ice on Saturday morning. Not only did they get the games in, but they swept Western Michigan in a 3-game series. So we'll talk with Coach Andy Sawyers coming up. Want to remind you that on Mondays, the award-winning jumbo wings here at Wings Etc. are just 69 cents. And they've got food and drink specials throughout the week. Their daily half-pound lunch specials start at just $6. $99, and they've got a lot more than just wings on the menu. They have freshly made burgers, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs, and much more. And their appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle spears. If you've never had one of those, it's Wings Etc. We're in the Jackson location. We'll be over in the Cape location next week. And the Red Hawks head coach, Rick Ray, is here. And you made it by the hair on your chinny chin. Explain your travel situation over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm doing a little recruiting. I was actually I flew into Panama City, Florida, to go see a young man play down in Florida. And then I went and saw another young man in Jacksonville. So I did that. I flew out early Sunday morning and saw two young men in that span of time. But, you know, the thing that kind of took me aback was when I landed in Panama City, how destitute it was. And then I started to realize as I drove to try to get to my location, there's a stretch there of probably about 80 miles where all the trees are either halfway down or have been uprooted because of, like, the bad weather they've been incurring. So, and then there's just really, obviously that's a lower socioeconomic scale, so people there are in trailer homes and things like that, and you can see trailer homes just turned over, upside down.
Wow.
I mean, it really was sad. And, you know, we live here in the Midwest, and you hear about it, weather reports and things like that, so you really don't pay as much attention to it as you should. But when you get there and you see the sheer devastation, I mean, every tree was either down, uprooted, or halfway blown over. And there's just so much debris on the streets and what have you. So I was really taken aback by that because I hadn't been down there in a while in that, you know, that coastal area trying to recruit a little bit. So I got a chance to see two young men there, work out and visit with them. And then I had a 6 a.m. flight from Jacksonville direct here into St. Louis. Got delayed a little bit, so I got nervous, but got here right about 11:45, 11:50 into Jackson, so it all worked out.
Worked out perfectly. I'm familiar with Florida. I was stationed in the Navy in Key West, Florida for 4 years. At the time, my grandmother owned a condominium in South Fort Myers around the Naples area, a little north of Naples. So I would drive up Interstate 1 and then head over on Alligator Alley and head over to – but Panama City, like many of the Florida towns, very needy in terms of they require all the tourist dollars.
Yes.
And, you know, with devastation like that, that could really hurt their economy as far as tourism goes.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm probably just glutton for punishment because as soon as this radio show is over with, I'm going to get in the car and drive to Mississippi and see a kid play and drive back tonight. And we have practice at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I'll get back probably about 4 o'clock in the morning and just get a couple hours of sleep and go ahead and ball practice.
Now, I ride the bus a lot more these days, but years back I used to drive to a lot of these trips like Jacksonville and Eastern Kentucky. So those are long trips to drive, so I know about being on the road. But sometimes you're coming back after a game when it's dark, and when you're fighting sleep, is there anything worse than trying to figure out how you're going to stop from trying to not doze off behind the wheel? That's a helpless feeling, at least it is to me.
Well, there's several tactics that I've developed over the course of the years.
I was going to say, you've probably got a plan or two, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, when I start calling people, I originally was born in Compton in L.A., and I still have a lot of family that live in that area. So when I start making those phone calls to my auntie and my cousins, and they say, you must be out recruiting because that's the only time that you call. And so it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but there it's just 11 or 12, so I can get them on the phone and still talk to them. So that's one tactic. The other thing is just like what you're listening to. So you start trying to listen to some upbeat music. So I put on some Outkast, some B.O.B. That's really fast-paced and going. I'll throw on some Metallica, something like that. Then the best thing, though, is like just being like if anybody's seen The Dark Knight, when the Joker like gets out of the police station and he's just in the car with his head out of the window like a dog. Sometimes you just roll down that window when it's cold and just put your head out the window a little bit and try to wake you up. So there's a whole bunch of different tactics.
Well, if you're going to listen to Metallica and you're tired, do not listen to Enter Sandman. That's not the song. That's not the song you want to hear. But sometimes you got to pull over and get a nap. What I like to do is find an exit with a couple of nice hotels and just kind of pull into their parking lot where it's lit, kind of lock the doors, and maybe catch a couple of winks.
Well, you know what you used to do? You used to just pull over to the side of the road or pull off over on a side and just take a quick nap. But you know what changed all of that?
Michael
Jordan's father. Like when people found out what really happened with Michael Jordan's father, because there was all this speculation of what really happened with that. And some people thought it was because of Michael Jordan gambling and all those types of things. But when people really found out what happened to his father, that changed of what people do as far as like pulling off on the side of the road and taking a quick nap. So now what most people do is they go to a place that's like, lit, like a hotel or a McDonald's that's 24 hours, or even a gas station that stays open 24 hours to take that nap, because now that's a national story that came out and it kind of changed what people do.
Yeah, I always find a decent hotel they always have a lit parking lot, so you're usually good to go in that respect. And as far as recruiting, can you can't tell us specifics, but what kind of players you've been looking at?
Well, we really want somebody that can, with us losing Jonathan Dalton, we really need somebody that can get into the paint and make plays, not just for himself but also for others. And that's really a concern for us right now, because Jonathan Dalton, if you watch us play, is a guy that's our primary ball handler, and he's such a great decision maker. The thing that's a little different with Jonathan Dalton is that when he gets into the paint, he's really not a great finisher, and he's not a threat around there sometimes because of his size. And you can hear the other teams always stressing to their team to stick to their man, don't come over and help, because he's such a great guy finding people. Whereas a guy like Alex Caldwell can get downhill and make plays, but he's athletic that he can go over and finish. So now you have to legitimately come in and protect the rim around him. So we would like to have somebody with a little bit of size, and really two guys that can get downhill and make a play, not just for himself and not for others. Like Austin P., who we're just about to play, you have to just, at the end of the day, go make plays, because they're going to deny everything. They're going to be physical. They make you become a one-on-one team. Well, you got to have some guys that can make those one-on-one plays. So we need somebody like that. Jordan Love, who is sitting out of our program right now, is a freshman because he's just not physically strong enough to go in and compete at this level right now. He has that type of ability to get into the paint and make plays with his ball handling. Well, we really need another strong ball handler, but we like to get another strong ball handler that has the ability to finish around the rim, like Alex Caldwell, like Ladarius Brewer.
I have to admit, the guy who's quickly becoming my favorite player is Oscar Cowell. Every time I watch him play, man, I just love watching that guy play. He sees the floor. You can tell he knows how to play basketball. He has shown the ability to get inside and finish a little bit against some of these bigger guys, can shoot the ball a little bit. Tell us about Oscar, because he's starting to see a few more minutes.
Yeah, Oscar is a young man that's played basketball at the highest level with all the FIBA basketball that he's played. So the competition level has never been a problem for him, and he's never scared of the opportunity. Some guys, the moment is too big for them. And Oscar, because of the basketball he's played internationally and with the FIBA basketball, he's played against the best basketball players in the world at his age, and he does it every single year. The problem that Oscar had was more so on the defensive end, being able to keep his man in front of him and help us on the defensive end. The concepts he has are very sound. He knows what he's supposed to do, but just the ability to do that. And then also the people in front of him. At the end of the day, Jonathan Dalton is in front of him, and Jonathan warrants a lot of minutes. And then Alex Caldwell warrants some minutes as well, too. So just trying to figure out, we knew that, hey, when Jonathan leaves, Oscar's going to be a guy that's going to play a lot for us because he's that good. But how can we find those minutes for us? And then also Donnie Lewis comes in and does some things for us as far as what we need with our team. So just trying to find those minutes. But he's a guy offensively, he sees everything. And I think more importantly, he's not scared. I mean, he wants to go make plays. There's never any opportunity where he doesn't know what to do, what the right decision is. He goes at a fast pace. So I really like his moxie. And then he's the type of guy, too, and it bothers me UT Martin is a team that talks a lot.
Right.
You know, they're going to talk smack. They're going to get up underneath your skin and things like that. So you need guys who stand up to that. You don't ever want it to be in a physical confrontation or for things to get out of hand. But you also want guys to stand up for themselves and stand their ground. Now, I have no idea what Oscar was saying to them. And I'm sure the UT Martin guys had no idea what Oscar was saying to him as well, too. But he said things. I mean, he wouldn't back down, and that's what you want. You want somebody with a little oomph to them so they can stand up to things like that.
Well, he's from Taiwan. He may have been speaking Taiwanese. I hear him when he's talking to his parents on the phone on the bus. He's speaking in that language.
Well, you find out these things when you go through the recruiting, but actually in Taiwan, they only 10% of the population speaks Taiwanese. And everybody else, they speak Chinese, so they speak Mongolian. And so that's what he's speaking. And so I didn't realize that at the times, but he would say things, and you're like, what? And he would say some things here, but he's starting to pick up on some of the dialect and say some things as far as the slang, and it's really funny when he says it, because he'll say some things now and it's like, do you understand really what you're saying, Oscar? And he's like, no. but he hears other guys saying it.
And speaking of Oscar, in the last game for Southeast against Eastern Illinois, he came in and gave you some really good minutes and was able to score. And I know there were a couple of times, because you're like right in front of me, I could see where maybe his guy got by him. you're kind of animated on the sideline where you weren't happy, but you left him out there for extended minutes. I mean, sometimes I know coaches, if they see something, that's it, you're out. But you left Oscar in for extended periods.
Yeah, he was so good for us offensively, and being able to make plays. And then what you also want to see, any coach, you want to see a guy develop, and you want to see a guy who struggled some early in the season start to figure some things out and now start to have some success. You want to see that for a young man, because there's nobody on our team that doesn't want to play basketball. There's nobody that's that 10th guy, that 11th guy, 12th guy that doesn't want to play major minutes, or a guy that's playing, the 8th guy that's playing 15 minutes a game. He wants to play 25 minutes, and you worry about, hey, if those guys are content with not playing or content with those minutes, then you don't want them in your program. You want guys that want to get better. So to see a success story like Oscar, a guy that stuck with it, kept a positive attitude, kept coming in and work on his own individual game, and he would often sometimes go out there and just play one-on-one with some of our assistant coaches, because like guys like Nick LeGrune, Keith Pickens, those guys can still play basketball. Our graduate assistant Kevin can go out there and play. He just want to play those guys one-on-one to try to figure out, hey, I've got to – because I told him, I said, hey, at the end of the day, the reason why you're not playing is because you've got to be able to keep your man in front of you. And the position that you play, whether it be the 1 or the 2, you're going to be playing against guys who can really get down, who will make plays. You just got to be serviceable. You don't have to be a great defender, because he's never going to be a great defender, but he needs to be a serviceable defender, and now he can play because he's going to really help us on the offensive end.
19 minutes for Oscar, 9 points, 4 assists, a steal, only 1 turnover.
Yeah, and what I like about him when he's doing those, if you watch him play, he is going at a fast pace.
Yes.
I mean, it's never any indecision. Like, should I do this or should – he gets it. He reads the defense, and he knows what to do right away. His decision-making and his basketball IQ is at a high level.
I mean, in terms of your entire roster, is it near the top in terms of basketball IQ?
Well, I think Ladarius Brewer has the highest basketball IQ on our team. He's really good as far as knowing. He knows what everybody's supposed to be doing on the court. He's good there. Jonathan Dalton is a guy that has a really high basketball IQ. Gabe McLaughlin is a young man. I get sometimes you get worried about using this basketball IQ. Gabe McLaughlin has a high IQ, period. And so that translates over to basketball IQ. He got into West Point. I mean, you get into West Point, that says something about you. So he really understands what's going on with all the different positions. Donnie Lewis is a young man. When you play that point guard position, if you don't have a basketball IQ or you don't know what's going on, you're going to really be a struggle for him, because you can't start things without everybody being in the right position. So when guys are not in the right position, if there's a forward or a three-man not in the right position when you start a set play, I don't get mad at that guy. I get mad at the point guard. Why are you starting a set play and this guy's not even in the right position? So I'm mad at him because he needs to get that guy in the right position or hold the ball until that guy gets there.
So you talk about guys with high IQs. You ever run across a guy who is very smart, high IQ, and overthinks things?
Yes. Yes. There's been plenty of those guys as well, too. Where and for me, the way we play, I don't want our guys knowing what to do every single time on the offensive end. The beauty of a motion offense, the beauty of a ball screen motion is that you have decisions that you make based on what the defense does. And so some guys, they want you to give them the answer, and frankly, that's what Gabe struggled with at the beginning. Gabe wanted the answer to the question, and I said, hey, I don't know, man. I said, you have to wait until to see what the defense does, and then you're going to react to it. But he wanted to know what the answer was. When I go set this screen right here, what do I do from there? I don't know, man. Did they tight cut off of it? Did they straight cut off of it? And then you have to figure it. And he really struggled with that. And it was to him, when he didn't do it right, it was wrong. The answer was wrong, and he never wanted to be wrong. He's one of those guys that when he takes a test, he takes a quiz, he wants 100%. And if he doesn't get 100% on it, it really bothers him. And so when he would mess up or he would stop and try to figure out no, keep playing, man. We got to keep playing. So he would compound his mistakes because he would make one mistake and he turned that into a second mistake because he's still worried about what he did or did not do on the previous possession. And so he really had to get past that. I told him one of the best things I ever heard when I was assistant for Coach Waldman in Indiana State, and he had this quote that he would tell guys, and he wouldn't say it all the time, but he said, you guys are an idiot if you don't listen to me. He said, just a pure idiot if you don't listen to me. He says, but you're a complete moron if you listen to everything that I say. So it's just those guys that have enough of, hey, man, like we want you to do the right things, but at some point in time you got to have something inside of you to say, hey, man, like I'm just going to make a play, coach. I mean, I got it. And so Gabe is starting to get that now where hey, man, just go make a play and play basketball.
When you've got freshmen, oftentimes it's the consistency you're looking for. They may look great and all that talent, which is why you recruited them the next game. What's going on? They're a freshman, so you don't see it on a consistent basis. We're not seeing bad games now from Gabe McLaughlin. Ever since he really do you see the light bulb having gone on? Do you see him having turned a corner? Do you see him as like maybe mentally he's a sophomore now?
Yeah, well, I think what's really helped him is I told him to quit focusing in on some of the things that he was trying to focus in on. Just be a really good defender, be a really good rebounder, and finish around the rim. And all the stuff will take care of itself. And so I thought he was worried too much about, hey, you missed a shot or you missed a three. He's never taken three-point shots before he got here before. I said, so you're not going to shoot a great three-point percentage, and so quit worrying about when you miss a three. If I don't care about you missing a three as long as it's a quality shot, why should you care? And so just that mentality. But, I mean, he's consistently getting a double-double. What he did in the second half against UT Martin, I think he scored 21 points in 19 minutes.
Right.
In that time span, he is really starting to figure it out. But he is such a physical specimen, not just with his body, but also with his athleticism, that he's just using that. And he said, what move should I make here? Hey, man, catch it and go by the dude. So you don't have to worry about the move. I want you to catch it and as fast as you can try to go around them. And I think what happens is post guys, they want certain moves. And I said, if you were on the perimeter and you had the ball, what would you try to do? He said, I would try to go by him. I said, so why don't you do the same thing in the post? It doesn't change. Just get the ball and try to go around him and then react. And he's starting to react to it and spin and do those types of things. But he is really playing at a high level for us right now.
Boy, 13 points, 10 rebounds, yet another double-double for Gabe McLaughlin in the game against Eastern Illinois. And then 17 points for Jonathan Dalton. That's a career high, so suddenly he's a scorer now.
Well, I wouldn't go too fast on that there, but he did a great job.
You made 9 free throws. He made 8 of the 9 free throws.
Yes, and he knocked some free throws down, but more importantly, what we talked about, he got paint touches. And so he was able to get downhill. And with us playing those 2 small guards, a lot of times we either had Jonathan Dalton and Alex Caldwell in, or we had Jonathan Dalton and Oscar Cowell in. And so Eastern Illinois really struggled. And I saw Jay after the game, and he said we couldn't keep those guys in front of us. And so we're a help-conscious team. So we were always in a help situation because you had those guards that were just going by our guys that caused us to come over and help and got wide-open opportunities, and you guys did a great job of sharing the basketball. He said so that was the genesis behind their breakdowns defensively.
I think you had 16 field goals, let's see, at half. You had 19 field goals at halftime and 16 assists. That's got to be the highest percentage of any half of basketball that you've played this year.
Yeah, and obviously I was really disappointed with our guys and probably said some things to them at the end of the game that I probably shouldn't have said to them. But, you know.
You're talking about after the UT Martin
After the
game.
UT Martin game, because it didn't – the score was 24-2. And I said, fellas, we could have got the coaching staff and the managers to go out there and play that game and been down 24-2. You guys are Division I scholarship athletes, and right now what you're doing is you're stealing from the university because you're not holding up to your end of the bargain. We're holding up to our end of the bargain. So if we went on this road trip and you didn't have food, you'd be a problem. If you went on this road trip and you didn't have a hotel room, we told you to sleep in the lobby, it would be a problem. And so what we're asking you to do is, like, I have a problem with if you show up at UT Martin and you're down 24-2, you have to hold up to your end of the bargain just like we have to hold up to our end of the bargain. And so I was just really not happy with the way our lack of competitive spirit in that game. I understand there's some things that happen X's and O's in any game, or, hey, that team is just better than you, but we didn't have an opportunity to even figure those things out with our lack of competitiveness. And so, you know, I talked to those guys about it, and then we went through our guys' efficiency the next day individually. And then we went through our team offensively efficiency, and it got to the point where, hey, we're struggling some offensively, individually and as a team. So if that's the case, then why aren't we sharing the basketball more? Because we were 10th in the OVC in assists, and we were 11th in assist-to-turnover ratio. But more importantly, we know that we're struggling on the offensive end, so then let's put all of our effort and all of our thoughts into the defensive end instead of worrying about offensively. So, hey, you miss a 3. Well, the stats show that you're going to miss 7 of the 3 attempts that you take, so why are you worried about that miss? You're going to miss. That shows the stats right there. It's not going to change. So quit worrying about what's happening on the offensive end. Just pass the ball. Just share the ball. Just be unselfish. Let's break this thing down and be simple, and let's worry about being a great team on the offensive end, not great individuals. And then let's lock into being, hey, defensively, we got to be consistent and we got to be competitive.
You don't have to break that. You're stealing from the university speech out very often. But once in a while, it was about 10 or 12 years ago, we're playing in the OVC tournament. Back then they played it at the Gaylord Entertainment Center before they moved it to Municipal. I don't know what it's not called the Gaylord anymore, but it's the really nice arena downtown. And so I'm there getting my equipment ready for our game. Murray State is just finishing up a practice. It was before Mick Cronin went to Cincinnati. He's coaching Murray State. And, I mean, he shut practice down a couple of times and was just in guys' face. You are stealing money from the state of Kentucky, from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. You are on scholarship, and you are robbing the people of Kentucky. You don't have to usually break that speech out a whole lot, right?
You hope that you don't have to, because you want guys – that individually, we can talk about motivation all we want to, but if guys don't have that intrinsic motivation, that self-motivation, I don't want to have to motivate guys. I don't want to have guys on my team that I've got to inspire. I mean, we're about to play a game of basketball, and we're about to get on the wood. Anytime we set foot on that wood, you should be like, I am going to compete. I'm going to have pride in my individual game. I'm going to have pride in my team. So you don't want to have to do that. And if you're doing that all the time, you're trying to Newt Rockne speech every game, that doesn't work. You need guys that care about their own individual performance and how to get the best out of themselves every single day. And you're not going to have that success. I mean, we talk about our guys all the time, their habits. They want to be professional basketball players, and you gotta act like a professional basketball player. You got to treat your body like a temple. So if you're up 2 o'clock in the morning playing Fortnite and you're not drinking water, you're drinking sweet tea and pop and soda all the time. If you're not, getting some sleep, if you're not eating all the time, then you're not really trying to be a professional basketball player, because we can't control those things. Those are things that you have to control. So anytime guys talk about, hey, I want to be a professional basketball player, and I get that on their Twitter line and they're up at 2:30 in the morning tweeting, I said, you don't want to be a professional basketball player. I mean, you didn't go to sleep. We practice at 7 o'clock in the morning. I know what time we practice. So if you're not doing it, you're getting 4 hours of sleep, then you've already set yourself up for failure. So don't talk to me about how good you want to be, because you're not doing anything to get to that.
So you dug deep for the speech after you were disappointed in the performance at UT Martin. Did you question, how is my team going to come out and play? Because you challenged them hard after the UT Martin game. Did you wonder how they would come out against Eastern Illinois? And secondly, is that as hard as you've seen your team play all season in that EIU game? Because I thought it was as hard as I've seen them play.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I dug deep, because I just went in there just really upset. So it wasn't a prepared speech at that point in time. And sometimes I get into a point where I don't even know what I'm saying, because I was so upset with our guys and with our performance. But usually between that Thursday and Saturday game, Friday we don't do anything. We shoot free throws, and we have our strength coach, Tony Butowski, and then Miss Amanda, our trainer. They just do all these type of recovery things with them, whether it's with the bands or foam rolls, and trying to get them ready and prepared. Friday, we ball practice. I mean, I say that you guys didn't compete on Thursday night. I'm getting my 40 minutes of competition on Friday. So we ball practice, and it was intense, and we had guys going at each other. And then we had guys chirping at each other in practice on Friday, and I put that to it, and I said, no. I said, no one said anything to the guys at UT Martin at all. Didn't say a word to them. So don't come in here now and you're a tough guy with your own teammates. You're Billy Bad now. So, be quiet. So if you're not going to say anything when you're out there competing against UT Martin, don't say anything here now on Friday against your own teammates. So we just talked about all of those things, and we tried to get them prepared. Now, you never know what's going to happen when it's all said and done. And we've been a bipolar team. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get from day in and day out, and a lot of it has to do with our youth and experience. And so, but you can't continue to use that as an excuse, because they're on scholarship, and all these guys want all these minutes and things like that. So when it comes to it now, go out there and perform. So I really didn't know, but I know that I would have been really disappointed in our team, and I would have really started to wonder what we have, because all these guys are coming back. So sometimes when you talk to guys about their team, they'll say, man, we bring everybody back. Well, if you bring everybody back and you're bad, that's not good. But if you bring everybody back and you're good, obviously that's a positive thing. So we need to figure out, hey, are we made of the right things? Do we have the substance to get better, or is it just that we're young and inexperienced?
Is that as hard as you've seen your team play this year in the EIU game?
Yeah, I thought we competed, and I thought EIU played well. I know it seems like EIU is really, really hard to guard, because they run a true motion offense. And most people these days don't run a true motion offense. So when you see all this screening going on off the ball and it's constant, then it's hard to guard. So I thought our guys did a good job of locking in. Even though they scored some and the field goal percentage defense wasn't great, I thought our guys played at a pace of play where I was impressed with what they're doing and their hustle, their intensity, their attention to detail. But just at the end of the day, trying to be there for their teammate. We talk about ELO, which is a term we use all the time, early, loud, and often, and with our communication. And I thought our guys did a great job of communicating with each other and trying to be there for each other, but having some pride in trying to guard the ball individually.
I don't know if this would happen every game that you played him. You did not have anybody that could guard Ben Harvey. 29 points in that basketball game. That guy couldn't miss.
Yeah, and we told our guys, even though his stats don't show it, he's a guy, when he sets foot in the game, he thinks he's really good. He is a good player, But he comes in there. He comes in every single game with confidence. He's trying to score every single time that he steps foot on the court. And we warned our guys. I said, hey, he's a guy sometimes, fellas, that he gets it going now, and he plays with extreme amount of confidence that he thinks that, hey, they have a leading scorer, but I'm the one that really should be leading his team in scoring. So he steps foot on the court every single time, and he is trying to get buckets.
All right, Ladarius Brewer came off the bench in that game. We're going to talk that over with Coach Rick Ray. One final segment with Coach Ray. We'll talk about Thursday's opponent, Austin Peay, and then Saturday's opponent, Murray State. A little later on, Coach Andy Sawyers from baseball is here. We'll take a quick timeout. More with the Red Hawks head coach, Rick Ray, from Wings, etc. in Jackson on the Red Hawks Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
Game on the TV, make a sports bar, Wings, etc. in Cape and Jackson beg to differ.
They take their sports bar status seriously.
Wings, etc. is the host of the SEMO Coaches Show every Monday from noon to 1.
You can watch SEMO away games at Wings, etc.
Plus, get lunch specials and daily specials like 69-cent wings on Monday, 69-cent rib tips on Tuesday,
59-cent shrimp on Wednesday,
69-cent wings on Thursday and Friday, too.
Plus, they've got free Wi-Fi and a full-service bar and craft beer.
Wings, etc.
The definition of a sports bar.
Be listening for the 180 Healthcare ticket window to open up for the next big event. For unlimited doctors, no copay, 24/7 gym, and an awesome nutrition app, all included, reach out to 180 Healthcare, 180healthcare.com. Listen for the 180 Healthcare ticket window to open up for the next big event with SEMO ESPN.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
A dry day to start the work week today with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Cold, though, only going up to the upper 30s. We do have the clouds building in tonight, overnight low 27. For our Tuesday, cloudy skies. Best shot at rain will be on Tuesday. Rain develops later in the day. Rain can be heavy at times, get up to around 40. More rain Tuesday night. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Gabino.
He is join us then. Still time to join us for lunch. We've got a nice crowd here in the Jackson Wings, etc. location. The Red Hawks getting set to head to Austin Peay Thursday and then Murray State on Saturday. Coach Rick Ray here. Ladarius Brewer came off the bench. Coach, I thought it was interesting. You end up scoring 88 points in the basketball game. Ladarius Brewer ends up with just 7. And so you find a way, or 5 points, and so a game where you really don't have to rely on your leading scorer, Ladarius Brewer. Other guys really stepped up. It was the first time in a while we've seen Skylar Hogan get into double figures. He played with a lot of confidence. Isaiah Gable, 8 rebounds and 13 points. We mentioned Oscar, and then another double from Gabe McLaughlin, a career high for Jonathan Dalton, but you got to change things up with your starting lineup a little bit.
Well, you know that old quote that they have, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over again. So we just wanted to change up our starting lineup, and because we were getting off to poor starts. And you don't know the reason why, but, I sat down and I talked with L.A., and I don't know why we're starting this bad, but I'm changing some things up and try to figure this out. But I thought we had some huge contributions. Isaiah Gable, the way he rebounded the basketball and played with physicality. I mean, he got offensive rebounds. It got to the point with him, with Isaiah, I told him, man, just go back on defense and be a safety. And he's like, why? I said, you never get any offensive rebounds. I mean, you're just like, you're in no man's land. You're in the worst position possible. You're not all the way back, and you're not crashing. You're just right there at the three-point line. But he got us some offensive rebounds. But Nigel Russell had 6 assists and 0 turnovers for us. I mean, we talked about Oscar. He had 4 assists and 1 turnover. So I thought our guys did a great job of sharing the basketball. So they did some things that really don't show up on the stat line as much. But I just thought we needed something different.
All right. It wasn't a very competitive game the first time you played Austin Peay. They've got Terry Taylor, one of the very best players in the league. They've got big guards. They're strong. Now, they don't have like 6'8", 6'9". You know, they've got guys that are 6'6", 6'5", but they're all physically strong, and it's a physical basketball game when you play Austin Peay. What adjustments can you make to go on the road and play them differently this time?
Well, I think the number one thing is that our guys have got to get their mindset and be prepared for physical combat. I mean, they are going to test your manhood every single time that you set foot on the court. And if you're not prepared for that, and I think it always helps after you play them the first time, because you have all these young and inexperienced guys that have never played against Austin Peay and never played against that sort of physicality. And you can talk about it till the cows come home. You can show them on tape. But then when they get out there, and so the first play that happens, a guy comes in and just like shoves a guy in the back and knocks him out of bounds, and there's no call. And they're looking at me with their palms up, and we told you. When we gave you the answers to the quiz before it started, and this is how it's going to be. So we've got to be able to stand up to their physicality and the way they play. And it's hand-to-hand combat every single possession. That's what they want. And they're not going to make all those calls. The other part of it is we've got to be able to make some individual plays on the offensive end because they deny everything. And so at the end of the day, you've got to go make an individual play and get into the paint and be able to score because they're not helping. So we started off this morning by everything we did was one-on-one versus pressure. We've got to be able to get the ball into the post. We've got to be able to drive the ball from the perimeter, and there's no help. And so we've got to get in that mindset. But also the way we went about it the first time, they changed the way they guard their ball screens now. And in the past, we had success with guys like Jonathan Dalton getting downhill and making plays off the ball screen. Well, what they've done now is really smart. They go underneath every ball screen. And so I watched the tape on the plane. I felt bad for Jonathan Dalton because we left him on the island and told him, hey, just go make a play for us every single time you have the ball. And they were going underneath the ball screens, and he's not a guy that shoots that three off the ball screen like that if they go under. So we've got to set ourselves up better, and that's got to be my responsibility of what we do as far as our game plan. And then there's a couple things that we need to change. We got isolated in the post against them, and we've got to be able to come over and help when they're trying to make that high-low pass. So we're going to do some different things defensively, offensively, schematically that'll try to help us.
You know, something else, Gabe McLaughlin is playing a different game now than he did the first time you played Austin Peay and Murray State.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to play that same game against Austin Peay and their physicality because that's going to be the true test of it because they obviously see how he's been playing, the success that he's had. So they're going to be really cognizant and aware of him and pay special attention to him that they didn't do in the first contest. So now can he continue to do those things? Because sometimes Austin Peay's best offense is just getting it up on the glass.
Right.
And once they get it up on the rim, they go get the offensive rebound. That's sometimes their best offense.
Right now, it's Murray State and Belmont 12-2, Austin Peay and Jacksonville State 11-3. Those are the four teams that have been the best all season. You've got 4 wins. You're tied with Eastern Kentucky and SIUE. You lose the tiebreakers to those two teams. 5 wins potentially could get you in the tournament. I know you're just concentrating on one game at a time. But are you looking at it saying, hey, I think 6 wins and we're definitely in, and 5 wins and it's maybe?
Yeah, well, Frank Martins, I talked to him last week, and he said something I thought was really good. You often wonder what to talk to your team about and what to address with them. He says, well, you better talk to them about it if you think that they know about it because you want to make sure you control the message because they're talking about it. And they might be talking to people that have the wrong message. So you better make sure you address it. So that's something that we're going to talk about with our guys is a need for us to make sure that we take care of our own ability here with the wins and the losses down the stretch because, unfortunately, we put ourselves in a situation where we didn't take care of business beforehand that all of these tiebreaker scenarios are not going to be in our favor because SIUE swept us. We only played EKU once, and we lost on the last-second shot there. Morehead State. I mean, so all of these teams that are around us, they control the tiebreakers. So we've got to make sure that we do our job and take care of our business because what they do in the tiebreaker scenarios are going to be out of our control. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control, which is try to get wins against these teams.
All right. It'll be Austin Peay on Thursday, and then Murray State on Saturday over at the CFSB Center. We'll see you over there, Coach. I know you got to get on the road and back recruiting. Just got back from a recruiting trip, and you're headed back out on the road. Be safe, and we'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, one last thing before I get out of here. I always knew I was smart to be an indoor coach because, like, what Andy has to deal with there as far as, like, the shoveling of the snow and baseball and the inclement weather that you get as a football coach. And so every single time I see bad weather, whether it be baseball in October and guys are out there trying to stay warm, or they're playing football in really bad weather, I'm like, man, I was smart. I'm an indoor coach.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Rick Ray, we're going to talk baseball with Coach Andy Sawyers. He is here. He will join us after this timeout. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Jackson on SEMO ESPN.
Be listening for the 180 Healthcare ticket window to open up for the next big event. For unlimited doctors, no copay, 24/7.
This time he's going to get back out on the road, headed down to the state of Mississippi. He was saying the junior colleges all play down there in the state of Mississippi on Mondays, and so looking at the junior college ranks and the state of Mississippi, and he's got a long trip ahead of him after his flight back from Florida. We wish we had Florida weather here over the weekend for the Red Hawk baseball team. The baseball coach, Andy Sawyers, joins us here, and some people, I think, have heard the saga, and I think it would fall into the category of a saga of what you experienced when you got to the ballpark. Your hitting coach, Craig Ringy, said, I think we got there about 6:45 on Saturday morning. And what did you see when you got to the ballpark? I know the coaches got there first. What did you see when you saw the field, and what were your first thoughts when you saw the field?
The first thing I saw was the coaches standing on the pitcher's mound, looking and surveying like this giant skating rink is what it looked like. And then whenever you see people put their face in their hands, that's never a good sign. That's
face
like,
palm.
It was a double face palm of like, what are we going to do? And so we spent about the first 45 minutes feeling sorry for ourselves, to be honest with you. We just kind of walked around and kicked at the snow and, looked like we were, doing something. And then we didn't think we were going to play on Sunday either. And so it's like, if we're going to have a chance to play on Sunday, we better start moving this. And
for those who don't know, you're scheduled a 3-game series. Friday was canceled because of the weather was coming in. So you scheduled a 1 o'clock game Saturday and then a 10 a.m. doubleheader Sunday, and you were hopeful that maybe you'd get, 1 or 2 games in?
We were going to hope to play a doubleheader on Sunday, and had no real dream of even playing on Saturday. And we tried some different things, tried blowing it, tried driving around with gators and breaking it up to see if we can get some sun to the turf. But at about 8:30, the Mark from the city showed up, and he said, what do you want to do? I says, how many snow shovels can you get us? And he says, well, I'll go to every place in town. I'll go to Tractor Supply. I'll go to Lowe's. I'll go to Menards. And I said, get us 40. And we called our guys and got our guys there, and we started shoveling about 9:30 in the morning, or about 9 in the morning. I think we started moving snow. And we just, without really any plan, we just started moving snow and shoveling. And at about 11, we'd done about a third of the field. It was amazing how much progress we were able to make. We started getting after it. And then by then, people just had shown up. Our athletic administration, the AD was out there. Nate Savarino was out there. Philip Lady was there. Kent Phillip. And, people just started showing up. And then we sent it out on Twitter. And fans, not a ton, but some showed up. We had players' parents out there. And then about 11, Western Michigan came. And by that time, our guys needed a break. And so we sent our guys off to get something to eat. Western Michigan, we kind of had like a Passover. We passed the shovels off to Western Michigan, and they started shoveling. And their coach wanted to know what the plan was. Says, let's work till noon, and at noon, let's talk about it. And at about noon, we decided let's prepare as if we're going to play at 3. Because we have no lights right now with the construction project at Kappahaw. 3 is like the absolute latest we could try to start a baseball game. So let's prepare as if we're going to play at 3. We sent our kids off to hit inside up at Houck, and then Western Michigan kind of finished up around 1, and they went and hit. And we came down to the field around 2 o'clock, and we had most of it done. And
you had football players out there, including Coach Tuke was out there.
That was the kicker. I hesitate to mention people by name because I'm going to miss half the people because it was such a community effort. But I sent Tuke a message about 9:30, and I was like, basketball's out of town. You've got guys. Can you send somebody? He said, anybody that shows up, I'll buy him dinner. And 30 minutes later, Tuke himself rolls in with a snow shovel, and about 30 minutes after that, his boys rolled in. And they probably had 10 or 12 guys there working. I got kind of emotional. It was like it's beginning of the morning. There's no chance of us playing. And then we're there, and administrators are there, and we're doing our best. But there's no shot of us going to play baseball that day. And then people just started coming, and it was a pretty special deal for us, to be honest with you, for everybody who showed up and pitched in, and administrators. And we had 2 soccer players, two women's soccer players from SEMO showed up. One of them wearing shorts, so I question what her GPA might be at SEMO if she wore shorts to shovel snow. But it was an amazing day, and just emotional. And
Joe Hobbs wears shorts every day of the year, just so you know.
Joe didn't show up to help.
Yeah, good point.
So he can make those comments sitting in one of his many restaurants
good
here,
point.
shorts on. But so we make the decision, try to play at 3 o'clock, and then I'm hitting in pregame infield, outfield, and I'm hitting the ball to the center fielder, and I see Tom Matukowicz while we're hitting infield driving the last gator load of snow off the field. And so we were able to do it. There was snow banks going down the lines. We just pushed the snow to the foul lines, and we played. And our kids backed us up. Our kids played great all weekend. We happened to win 3 games. But just the whole thing, I was thinking in bed that night. 26 years I've had a chance to have opening day as either player, as a coach in college baseball, and that was maybe the most meaningful day of your kids work so hard, people from the community work so hard, just people on staff, the soccer team, football team, everybody just pitched in, and it was a really special experience for our kids. I know our kids were very, very grateful, and I know I'm very grateful, but just a very humbling kind of a day.
And for those who don't know about the construction project over there, they are replacing all the lights. So all the light standards are being taken out, and the new light standards are in. And I think they're down to, about 2 more that they have to install. Pretty much all the new light standards are in, but a couple. And then they've got to do some underground wiring, but it's getting closer, right, where you're going to be able to have your lights.
Yeah, the dirt work is what's really the holdup. Is they could get the standards up in a hurry. It's just getting the stuff underneath the ground, and obviously the weather we've had and how wet everything is, that's not helping anything. But we're two more light standards to go. But really the issue is how wet it is and being able to do the dirt work and the underground stuff right now.
All right. So have they given you what they feel is a guesstimate as to when you might be able to start a game after 1 o'clock?
they were shooting for March 1st,
Okay.
and we've had all this rain in the last couple weeks, so I don't know if March 1st is actually going to happen, and I haven't got any other date.
I will tell you, the lights look totally different than the old ones. I guess they must be the new powerful LED lights.
So they're the LED lights, and there's some other additional things on the base. And you know how our guys are; they're never going to tell anybody the truth. So there's these little things that like are a low-level light on the standards in center field. And our seniors had told our freshmen that those are automatic firework dispensers. And so whenever SEMO hits a home run, fireworks will launch out of the lights. And the freshmen believed them. How about that? So
do you worry that you've got freshmen that you've got to take the lure out of their mouths?
Yes. So so we played pretty good this week, and we won 3 games. We had some freshman base running blunders. We had a freshman, Brett Gonzalez, who played fantastic, hit .455 on the weekend and started all 3 games. He made some freshman mistakes on the bases. And I told him I was trying to – he was upset, and I was trying to make light of it. I says, hey, you know what's going to happen is they're going to talk about this on the radio, and I'm going to tell them it's all Coach Ringy's fault. Like, you got hung up on a ball in dirt. So I said, you need to know that I'm prepared. I'm going to really throw Coach Ring under the bus, and we're gonna blame him on the radio for you making these mistakes. Obviously, trying to put him at ease. And he's like, Coach, won't he be mad at you if you do that? And I was like, Gonzi, like it's okay, baby. You take a deep breath. But we were able to start 4 freshmen on game 2 of the series against Western Michigan. Brett Gonzalez and left from Rolla. Turner Fritz from Poplar Bluff started at first base. Then we had an Alviani battery. Noah Nisnik, the left-handed pitcher, and Andrew Keck, our catcher. And so
they all contributed.
Yeah, all 3 of the freshmen got hits, and Noah Nisnik did not get a decision, but he went 6 scoreless and actually was talk of being nominated for the OVC Pitcher of the Week. So the freshmen handled themselves quite well, but they still have some freshman moments. We told them also, it's I guess maybe a sign of our team, because we were in a hurry to get that game started on Saturday with the snow. And so, the home team takes in pregame infield and the visiting team takes pregame infield. And we told them we were going to go together, and the 2 teams were going to take it together. And we were going to do Rochambeau to see which team's coach hit the in and out. And they're like, wow, that'll be awesome. We're going to do it together. It's like, yeah.
You are initiating these freshmen nicely.
I think, we had no jitters opening day, which obviously is a good thing, but to think about what they did, that they get woken up by the group me message, hey, come to the field, wear warm clothes, bring a snow shovel if you have it. They shovel snow all day. We send them off. The players actually stretched on the field with no coaches present. Like the coaches worked until about 2:10, and I was like, we have to go change. The lineup card was in my office, and we all left. And then we left, and we're like, we haven't stretched. And I'm like, we hope they figure it out. And we came back, and they're kind of moving around, doing like the JV version of our stretch. So they no jitters on opening day. The day was so different and so kind of out of ordinary. It was they didn't have time to get nervous.
The interesting thing was you get 3 performances from your starting pitchers, and 2 guys who are probably going to be in your starting rotation. Logan Spalt and Christian Vick are a little banged up. They didn't even pitch, so you had to use guys in a starting role opening weekend that probably wouldn't have started opening weekend if Vick and Spalt weren't a little nicked up, right?
For sure. Noah Nisnik is a young man that has been really good ever since set foot on campus, and we actually plan on starting him on Tuesdays, our midweek non-conference games. But with Christian and Logan Spalt not able to go this weekend, we moved him up to the weekend, and then he actually pitched in the 2-hole because we thought he would be a better matchup for that game. And 6 innings, no runs, no walks. He was 80% first pitch strikes, just came in and just shoved it in the strike zone and kept filling it up. I couldn't be prouder of a kid for his first college outing.
But you started 3 left-handed starting pitchers. I wonder if there's any other team in the OVC that started 3 lefties this weekend.
Nobody did. We were the only team in the conference.
I mean, that's great. I mean, now you don't know what the lineup specifications are for a particular team, but everybody loves to have a lefty or 2 in that rotation if you can get one.
Yeah, you'd like to split it up. You'd like to have a righty go on Saturday, right? So you get some different looks. So part of, planning who pitches when is understanding, we've got this look here. So, for example, you start a left-handed pitcher, and so we start maybe, Noah Niznik. And Noah Niznik is a pitchability guy. He's going to be mid to upper 80s probably, but more mid 80s, and he's command and changeup and all that stuff. Well, who are we going to follow with him? So if we can follow him with maybe a right-handed guy who's got a four-seam fastball that gives guys a different look. So as you kind of put that together and you're making decisions on who pitches when and who follows who, you'd actually like to break it up a little bit. I like the fact that we've got some lefties we're big fans of, but I really wish we could have a right-hander go on Saturday to kind of mix that up and not give them 3 looks in a row, kind of the same slot, same side. But they all threw well, and we got 3 wins. So it'll probably stay the same next week for Western Illinois. But going forward, we're kind of in discussion today. You know, Logan Winter's a young man that earned the right to start and probably would have started, but his dad had some health issues, and Logan went home for a week and wasn't able to practice and missed an outing and wasn't able to build his pitch count up. And so we decided to use Logan out of the bullpen. Maybe we could use him in a high-leverage situation, right? So Dylan Dodd goes good, gets us off to the good start, but it's a tie game, and we get Logan Winter in the game. We have a chance to go for the win. So we're able to use his innings in higher-leverage situations. And so long-term, Logan Winter might make his way back to the rotation, but you also might see him continue in that role he's at because he's got a very durable guy, and he really bounces back well. Of all of our guys, he's the guy that can throw consecutive days probably the best and not suffer a decrease in stuff. So we're kind of working it out as we go right now while those guys are banged up.
You know, one of the other strengths, it's great if you get a nice start, but nobody's pitching 9 innings. What are you going to do at the back end of the bullpen? Games are lost late if you can't get good pitching to slam the door. And in all 3 games, you got good back end of the bullpen to pick up the wins. That was a positive sign.
That's right. And we're fortunate. We have Aaron Stretch. Aaron Stretch is a member of the national, the Stopper of the Year watch list. You know, the thing about Aaron is a guy that gets it done on competitiveness and guts. And, you know, he's a 5'10" left-hander who doesn't throw 90 miles an hour, but he doesn't know that. You know, he's got a huge heart, and he's extremely competitive. You know, last year we kind of gave him the nickname the Banny Rooster because of how he struts around on the mound like he's about to enter a cockfight or something. But the Banny Rooster, he's our guy to finish the game. But you need more than one, right? And so to have Aaron Stretch and Logan Winter, who both have the stuff to finish games, and it lets us do some different things, right or left, or, you know, match up in different situations.
And a guy that gave you a lot of late inning gems last year in Daniel Berthold. I don't know if he'll stay in the rotation, but another guy who's got late inning relief experience.
Daniel Berthold, probably his best role is in the bullpen realistically, because Daniel Berthold's got one really well above average pitch. He's got a really good fastball. But for him to go through a lineup 2 or 3 times, you need secondary stuff, and his secondary stuff is a work in progress. He's flashed a really good changeup at times, and the breaking ball is kind of a distant third for him at this point in his career. And so if you only need him to go through a lineup once, he can do it with a heater. But for him to go through a lineup a second and even a third time, you're going to have to get multiple pitches involved. And so that's kind of, you know, worked, and Daniel gave us a good start and got us into the 6th. But still, if you're using him for, you know, 3 outs, 6 out, or 9 outs, it's probably his best role because he can beat you with the fastball one time through the order. So, you know, probably the best version of us, you would see Daniel Berthold back in the role that he was in last year, where we were kind of using a shared closer system. We'd go Daniel Berthold on Fridays under the lights because the fastball plays better at night, and then you Aaron Stretch on Saturday, and then bring Daniel back on Sunday, and you let Stretch close on the midweek. So we were kind of alternating, ending the game with those 2 left-handers last year. And with the guys being kind of banged up, we needed to have Daniel start for us this weekend. And don't forget, you know, Tennessee Tech had that year last year. They had the nation's longest winning streak. I think it was 28 games. You know who ended that as a starting pitcher? Daniel Berthold.
Yep. Our
closer had to start for us because Carlos Vega was hurt last year, and Daniel actually beat Tech at Tech. And so he does have the stuff to start, and he has the ability to start. I just think his best role might be out of the bullpen.
And a lot of people may not remember that you finished 2nd in the OVC behind Tech. No one was going to beat Tech. You know, the University of Texas barely beat them, or they would have gone to the College World Series. So you had a great finish in conference play last year. I did want to ask you, weather looks squirrely tomorrow. It may get here in the afternoon. You're scheduled to go at 1 o'clock against Harris Stowe. Has there been any discussion about maybe moving the game time? You know, you have to be a weatherman in addition to a baseball coach. What are you seeing with the weather?
We've actually talked to Harris Stowe and actually asked them if we could move the game to Wednesday. Wednesday, the rain is supposed to be out of here by about 9 in the morning. It's going to be about 10 degrees warmer, and they want to move the game to Wednesday. They needed to check with their administration because their classes are structured so their big class days are Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so if they come play us on Wednesday, it's going to change their class miss policy. And so they were checking with that. But they just played 4 games in Oklahoma City this weekend with 18-degree wind chills. And so their head coach was in favor of doing anything to make it a warmer, more pleasant day.
All right.
And so they're just trying to get approval from their administrators to make that move.
All right. And then this weekend, Western Illinois University will be in here. Saturday is looking a little dicey. The good thing is that you've got turf. You got 3 days to try and squeeze 3 games in.
Yeah, so the turf gives us great flexibility. We can play as soon as the rain stops. The only, right now the drawback is not having lights. We can't push anything back. The only adjustment we can make is go earlier in the day. And so we're not quite as flexible as we normally would, but we'll still, if we got to play, we played a 10 a.m. doubleheader on Sunday, which I've never done, but we'll make it work to play 3 baseball games this weekend.
All right, 4 games this week. Looks like maybe Harris Stowe's Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see you over at the ballpark, Coach. Thanks so much for the time. Congrats on the great start to the season.
Thanks a lot.
That's Coach Andy Sawyers, and that is going to do it here for the Red Hawks Coaches Show. Thanks to Mike Rennick and Dean Field from River Radio for all of their help. Thanks to Coach Rick Ray, Coach Andy Sawyers for joining us. Thanks to Joe Hobbs for wearing shorts on a day where it's 27 degrees. We'll get you back into the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio coming up. So long, everybody, from Wings.